Okay, so when you finally get logged on to your Rikki-tikki interactive worksheets, it's going to look like this. It's going to look very familiar to what we did Tuesday. There's a couple of new things I added in, so I'm going to talk about that. The first one, we're just running a test to see if you can use multiple choice on here. So you will read the question and choose the correct answer. It's pretty easy, pretty basic, so I only used one of those. All right, again, we have a short answer. Why does Rikki-tikki destroy Nagina's eggs? What you're focusing on here is writing me a short answer using correct capitalization, spelling, and punctuation. You do not have to use cited evidence on this one. What I'm checking is making sure that you can actually write a sentence correctly. That's what I'm grading and making sure that it makes sense. It's also checking to see, of course, comprehension. All right, the next one here is predict. You're going to check the predictions in your dialectical journal against what actually happened. Again, this should look very familiar. We're just practicing this. Please get out your dialectical journal when it's time to do this activity and fill in that information. The next one is we're analyzing suspense. You're going to go back through the story, write down clues that foreshadow Rikki-tikki's ultimate victory. And then I want you to write the details in this column and the clues that foreshadow that. The next thing, again, it should sound very familiar. We did a Venn diagram the other day. I asked you, is Rikki-tikki the bravest character in the story? Decide whether the character shows more or less bravery than Rikki. That should say than, okay? Write 2 or 3 paragraphs to evaluate the bravery of your chosen character and of Rikki. Here's where you will use direct evidence from the story. You will need your textbook. You will need to use race or slam, whatever your 6th grade teacher taught you. That's what I want you to use. So again, do not leave this section without 2 or 3 paragraphs. It will automatically help you with your spelling, so I don't want to see any spelling errors on this. Moving down to the next one, we're looking at the elements of an adventure story because Rikki-tikki is an adventure story. So I want you to watch this short video on the elements of an adventure story. You're going to write down the elements and give me an example from the story, from Rikki-tikki, to see if it actually follows all of the elements to be considered an adventure story. Here's our social studies connection. Our setting takes place in India. So, of course, you're going to click here. It's going to bring you to an article. You're going to read it. And as you're reading it, you can go back and, oops, all the way back. You are going to answer some questions. What were the 2 long-lasting effects that resulted from Britain's control of India? Now, the article should help you, but if you need some additional information, go back to Tuesday's interactive worksheets and watch that video again about the East India British Trading Company, okay? You might want to go back and watch that video. Between that video and this article, you should have plenty to write about. But I really only want you to write 2 long-lasting effects that resulted from Britain's control of India during the 1800s. The next worksheet, choose vocabulary word that makes the most sense in the sentence. Again, if you type it incorrectly, if you type consolation incorrectly, it's not going to cross it out. So make sure you spell it correctly. You're going to use 3 of these words in the next worksheet, and you're going to write a paragraph using at least 3 of those vocabulary words. All right, now this is the part that I said that so far it's not working. As of right now, it is not working. So I want you to think of a time when you were brave. This is your video journal that you did yesterday. You discussed in your video journal your situation, and you explained what was happening and why it made you feel brave. I want you to go back and pretty much type that information here. But since it's not working, you're going to have to go back to Own Course. Okay, you're going to have to go back to your messaging in Own Course, and you're going to have to type that in. okay, under your messaging, and then hit post. Make sure when you do this that you send it to everyone in the class, not to just one person. And this is how you know if it's sending it to everyone, because it says everyone. Okay, so moving back to the worksheet, the last section is about prepositions because we studied that some earlier at the beginning of the week. Here's another short video on some prepositions. Here's that video that you guys liked, and I am going to let you watch that again. And then I just want you to see, it's just real quick, 4 things just to see if you understand what a preposition is. Please make sure you save your work after every single worksheet. I cannot stress that enough. And then once you finish with this last worksheet, you may hand in your work. Any questions, just raise your hand.